What's up, everybody, and welcome to Tomorrow, where our purpose is to educate, engage, and grow our local crypto community in current trends, future growths, and hidden gems. Our mission is to 10x our portfolio in 1 year. But before we begin, quick disclaimer, we are not financial advisors, and all information should be considered for educational and entertainment purposes. Welcome back, guys. I know all of you are on the edge of your toes and you're just following this channel and saying, what's going on? We took a dip last week. We really took a dip last week and we continued going down hard. So that's why we wanted to get one of our members in our group onto today's show to talk about why we're not afraid and hopefully make you not afraid and kind of give you guys an insight into what's going on with Bitcoin. And then we'll break down into more specifically Shiba Inu and talk to you a little bit about what that coin and that community is all about. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, James. What's up, James? Welcome to the show, man. It's exciting to have you on your very first episode here.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Everyone gets to see the man that sits behind the computer grass in this episode and knows a lot of information. So I'm really pumped to have you on.
He's being too kind. Too kind.
All right, James, I want you to just kind of, before we break into anything, just let's talk about the overall market. I mean, our portfolio, as you know, has went, but so has a lot of other people's. So just fill us in with what's going on in current trends and why we see this happening.
So, in the beginning of Bitcoin, you had all retail investors. Who are retail? Retail are you, me, Joe, Nancy, everybody. And we're looking at the speculative investment and we're like, hey, what can we do here? There's some growth. Oh, look, more money is going in. More money is going in. And then it shoots up. 2017 comes crashing right back down almost 90%. And then everybody loses that faith in that digital currency, this whole idea of using digital currency. And then they say, okay, let's hold out a little bit for all the people who didn't completely lose their money. They're like, you know what? Let me put a little bit more in, a little bit more in, a little bit more in. And all of a sudden now you start to have another wave that goes up. 2019 goes up. Then you have COVID with the 2020 situation where it's now skyrocketing because you have a speculative investment which is considered the same now as technology growth funds. And what these big names are doing is they're taking a lot of this money that they see people are now adopting and they were putting it in. They're just driving it in. And that was great. The price went up, everything went up for it. And now we're seeing that now that end of that stimulus and all that money printing is coming down. And what are we going to do now? Well, I'll tell you what happened. 30 to 40% of the retail investors have gotten shaken out. But you have big institutions still in it right now that are saying, you know what? We're in it to win it. They'll put the money in. They'll pull it out right before Bitcoin starts to do something crazy, right before the Fed starts to do something crazy. And that's what we're in right now. We're in kind of a shakeup.
Yeah, it's very interesting to talk about the trends, about what kind of happened all the way back in 2017 to what's going on now with the market. And I liked one of the things you mentioned where big institutional companies like JP Morgan, like Google, which is now hopping into the bandwagon, they're all adapting crypto more and more and more. So you have your retail investors like us pulling out and it's causing the market to dip. But I don't think we're going to see the extremes of the dips that we had back in 2017. And I'll pull up a chart that we were both looking at a little off screen, and I'll have you kind of explain what this is and talk a little more in detail. So what is this chart we're looking at, and what are the lines that we put on represent it?
So this chart is the Bitcoin chart against the US dollar, right? So what we look at is we see the price go up as the dollar amount of Bitcoin goes up, and the price goes down as the dollar amount of Bitcoin goes down. So you had the very beginning of the chart where you see 2017, a nice big run up all the way, and then almost a 90% loss, if not 90%. And then it dwindles back down. then another shakeout happens, and now you got another run up. Now that run up then levels off. You see that the dip isn't as dramatic now. Then there's a large dip right as the COVID situation was unfolding, and then a nice rise as the stimulus payments went out, as interest rates for the Fed, which banks borrow from, were pretty much zero, the lowest they've ever been. And now we're at a point where we're going up and down, consolidating, because right now you have talks about the Fed raising rates. You have talks about people creating a lot of FUD, where Russia right now, apparently we're talking about a ban about cryptocurrency. They actually released something to the public in regards to that. And now, even after that issuance was put out by one of their big banks, there's still a universal consensus in Russia that they're still talking about wanting cryptocurrency. I mean, it's not that hard to understand because people want decentralization. They don't want to be controlled. So, overall, I think that this is, even though a newer investment, it's showing adoption rates go up. A lot of banks putting their money into it. You got big institutions like Nike, Adidas, and Facebook, obviously with Meta, putting a lot of their information out there, and putting it into cryptocurrency, the metaverse. They're buying up lands in this virtual reality land. So this is adopting. It's not like it's going to go away. At least that's my conviction. I can't speak for everybody, but when you have that much going into it, that's something to look at.
Yeah, and we talked right before the market crashed last week. We were at that consolidation period, and we're like, well, this is either going to go up to that 50 mark or it's going to drop all the way down to the 31. And we almost hit 31. And then we've had, today's recording is 126, but the last 2 days we have a little bit of a rally back up. Is there a reason that Bitcoin has, and all cryptocurrencies have jumped up almost 10%?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on for that reason? Is that what's going on with the Fed right now, or is it just people have more confidence in the market?
So I think to understand cryptocurrency, who's ever watching this, you have to find out what the Fed is doing. The FOMC meets and they discuss Fed rate hikes. Central bank controls what happens to our money, control the economy, they control everything going on. So cryptocurrency, I do believe in, and I think it's going to gain momentum to a point where it's holding strong on its own. But right now, we have to look at what's going on with the big money, because the big money is what's dictating the economy. So this Fed, the rates, you have to see what these rates are, how high they're going to make them, and what duration. Are they going to start it later in the year? Are they going to raise? They already put out a projection of how much they wanted to raise and how far along they want to do that. But what they're doing is they keep gauging the inflation rates as time goes on. They're always checking it over and over and over again. So whether or not Jerome Powell is going to be what's known as hawkish, meaning that he's going to take a big turn towards increasing those rates pretty high, or is he going to be like, these numbers are looking pretty good. This week, we have the earnings coming out for big names like Tesla, Apple, Amazon. So investors are waiting on that, and we're waiting to see what happens when it comes to the rest of this market. So, the dips that we're in right now, you can analyze, look at these TAs and be like, yeah, this is the level we're supposed to hold at. This is, the level that we're meeting resistance at, which is great because you should know the chart. But who really rules it right now is what the Fed is doing.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how this is always going to follow tech stocks, where you had a big dip in Tesla, you had a big dip in other tech stocks, and then Bitcoin kind of just followed suit. Where I personally believe, and it's something we've talked about, and then we'll kind of move on, but that Bitcoin is going to be a hedge against the US dollar, kind of like gold is, but I don't think we're there yet. But I do believe it will eventually come 2023, 2024, as more institutional investors hop in, as more private investors hop in, because right now, every day more and more users are on crypto and using wallets and using exchanges, and that number has always gone up. So there's more reason to believe that if you get access to the bigger population, that eventually this isn't going to drop down to what it once was. It's going to keep trending up, even though you will have those ebbs and flows.
I agree. I think Bitcoin is going to be that hedge. And why? Right? Well, what makes Bitcoin the hedge? When we had gold and all, it's because there's a limited amount of it. It's scarcity. It all comes down to scarcity. You can print money left and right. Fist over hand, you can print money, and it just keeps going and going and going, but then it loses value over time. But when you have something that's locked in that can be used globally, that's a big ticket. That's something that people really are going to enjoy, look over, and say, you know what? I have a lot more faith that this thing isn't going to lose value versus something else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I want to hop right into Shiba Inu. Talk a little bit more specifically about this coin, what it's doing, where's it going. And it's something that started, as a hype coin.
Yes.
So walk us through, what is Shiba Inu and where are they going? So first off, what is Shiba Inu?
So Shiba Inu is what's known as a niche category of cryptocurrency, also known as a meme coin. But people argue that now because it's now has fundamentals. It actually has its own ecosystem, the Shiba ecosystem, where you can trade, dig, or stake your coins through Bone and Leash, which are other tokens that you can use on the Shiba ecosystem. And you can then create more appreciation by staking longer and get APY for that. You can get interest based upon that. Your value of your asset goes up over time the more that you have faith in this company, this ecosystem. Why I personally like it, and full disclosure, I actually have some Shiba Inu, is because, ideally, you want to see that an asset has room to grow. And you want to see that there's some originality there. Why I liked it was because I felt that this was one of the first coins that was quote unquote a meme coin, but now actually has fundamentals. So now you have an audience that looks at it because you have people who believe in it, especially what's known as Shiba Army. You can see that on Reddit, very big following. Ever since Shiba Inu got very popular in recent times, their count, I believe their accounts are almost at 1 million. And so you have a strong following of this. So now you have something that has a strong following. And it's not like Dogecoin where so many people were in it and literally it was created as a joke. It's even stated by the owners as being as a joke, but people believed in it. And so the price went up and then it eventually came down because it didn't have fundamentals. Well, now you have something that's creating fundamentals. And now you have something that also has the influence around it. But I will talk briefly about the drawbacks. So big drawback with this is the volume, the supply. Supply is a lot. It's about 541 trillion, if I'm not mistaken, at this time. And originally, it was actually 1 quadrillion until Vitalik Buterin was sent 50% of the entire supply by the creators of Shiba Inu. And off of his whim, he decided to burn 41% of it and give 9% of it to an India crypto relief fund. So it dramatically reduced the supply, gave people incentive, and then all these fundamentals started coming into it. So that's technically why I believe in it. I believe that there's going to be burning mechanisms that are going to create less of that supply, and it's going to give you a lot more fundamentals and usage in the future to come.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's got that fundamentals around it. Is Shiba going to follow Bitcoin, or is this going to be one of those coins that breaks out of that cycle? What's your opinion on that?
Well, Shiba Inu did become top 10, which no, I don't know how many people predicted because it really wasn't a consensus that was going to actually happen. What happened, I think, a big move for Shiba Inu first was that usually these meme coins or influence coins go off of what the influencers are doing, and a big one was Elon Musk with Dogecoin. And Shiba Inu was following in tail up until a certain point where it didn't matter what Elon Musk was saying because it did drop the price. I believe it was 5 to 10%, but then it rebounded right away right after that because people believed in it. So as far as following Bitcoin, I think it's still going to follow Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is king, and will be for the time to come, probably next 5-10 years or so. After that, I don't know. But anything's possible. The start of the internet boom created a lot of massive companies, right? Some went down, some thrived. So we'll see. We'll see.
When do you think is a good buy-in for Shiba? Because right now, I mean, this is 12:10 p.m. at 126. Just as a reiteration, we're at 0.123 zeros, and then 2247 of 5.69 of the day. So, is this a good time to buy? Is this something we should hold on? What evaluation would you recommend buying on?
So it depends upon what your views are. It depends upon your goals, right? You're a day trader, you can buy in now and then flip it afterwards. You're a swing trader, you can look for the next big moves. If you're an investor and you're looking at stochastic RSIs, which is the relative strength index, you'll see that there are times that it's overbought or oversold, and you'll know when to buy in and buy out there. So in my opinion, overall with the market, I do believe that this bounce with Bitcoin is going to go back up a little bit. I think it's going to test maybe around the 40K mark. If it breaks that resistance and we're up to the races again, then it's a good thing to buy now. But I want to wait till 40K. I want to wait to see what Bitcoin does around there. Because if Bitcoin drops again, then this price is going to go right back down again, because Shiba Inu is following in suit currently.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I kind of skeptical of whether to buy. Personally, I put some buy orders in on Shiba, but I set it down below what it's even trending at now. It's actually 15% off of what it's at now. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if it's going to dip, go back up. But is there anything else you want to add into this before we hop on over into our assets?
I think we're good. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. So, everyone's just going to tune in to hear more.
Yeah, and we're excited to see kind of where it goes. But let's hop right on in, talk all about where are we with our mission to 10x our portfolio. And obviously, as we all know, it was a rough week, guys. What are we trending out now? $356.51 from our initial 500 / we lost money right away, 475 investments. So we are trending down, but I know I'm not worried. I know James isn't worried. These are things that we really have faith in. We didn't make any big moves on the market. I mean, FTM, we talked about 2 weeks ago. It is still something I highly recommend everyone take a look at. We're down 86.25 on that one. RMRK, we're at 62.30. Luna, 59.30. XRP, something yet again, guys, keep an eye out for XRP. What's going to happen with that lawsuit? Flags are coming out that they're going to win. If that does happen, this is a coin to get in now. On top of that, UOS, we got 38.08. BMON, we got 37.79. And PYR, we got 31.18. We are going to make some moves coming up in this next week for our portfolio, because we did have a little change of what's going on in the market. Our goal, obviously, is to 10x our portfolio. So we're going to be taking those risky moves, show you guys that it's possible. Let's all make some money. And thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Tomorrow's Crypto. Until next time.